If you run an e-commerce brand and you have a ton of abandoned cart revenue that you want to collect, this is the right video for you. We're going to go over exactly how to formulate that flow for your brand, how to find the objections that your customers have that are stopping them from buying, and then solving those objections through your email marketing so that we can get them to eventually convert into a buyer. And I'm going to walk through the whole process, and we're going to go through an exact example for this brand called Soylent. All right, so there are a few key steps that we want to follow in this process, and those are kind of laid out for you right here. So the first step is going to be market research. We always use AI to do market research. It's absolutely ridiculous not to. Obviously, there's a lot of human interaction that happens here in terms of like actually studying what the people are saying, but it's ridiculous not to use AI to condense information and give us outputs based on that information. So that's going to be step number one. Number two is we want to find the most common objections that people have outside of price, because price is obviously the most common objection because that's what they're trading in order to get your product. But outside of price, we want to know what all those top objections are so that we can pinpoint those and make them and overcome the objections in the email content. And then number three, which is what we're going to cap off this video with, is actually strategizing the flow, and we're going to consider potential discounts and offers as well. Sometimes we have clients that want to run discounts and offers. Sometimes we have clients that don't want to do any. Now, number four, which we're not going to cover in this video, would be writing the copy. Number five would be doing the actual design. And then number six would be the actual setup in Klaviyo. If you are completely lost on those three steps, I will gladly walk you through what our process looks like in a separate video. But in this video, and if you want that, drop a comment below. But in this video, we're specifically focusing on creating and mapping out the flow so that it actually works to convert your customers into buyers. So first, for step one, we've got Claude.ai pulled up right here. I like using Claude instead of ChatGPT. It's just my preference. It also gives way better copywriting, so that's why I use it over ChatGPT. And like I said earlier, we're going to use Soylent here as an example. Soylent is a brand that I came across probably about 6 months ago. And I thought they had pretty cool products, and they're pretty big brands. So we're going to use them as an example here. Soylent, if you're watching this, love to have a conversation with you. But anyways, we're going to pull reviews. Now, what you want to start with is by framing AI, by telling it that we're just going to give it a bunch of information. We want it to hold this information, and we want it to remember it and digest it. So I'm going to say, I'm about to give you a ton of reviews from our brand, from our D2C e-commerce brand, Soylent. Now I'm going to say, here is some information about our brand. And now what we're going to do, because we want AI to be framed with actually like knowing about us and like what we sell and stuff like that. So I'm going to go to the About section here. And I'm going to pull some of this information and put it right into AI. All right, so I made a slight change to the prompt. I said, I'm about to give you a ton of reviews from our D2C e-commerce brand, Soylent. These are product reviews across many different products and collections. I want you to remember all of these reviews, digest them, and keep them in mind for future questions that I ask you. But first, here's some information about our brand so that you understand what we do. And then I simply copy and pasted all this information from their About page right into AI. Now we are going to submit that and see what it gives us back. All right, so Claude told us that it understands, gave us a little bit of a takeaway there. So now what you want to do is give it reviews. Now, to be very clear here, the reason we want to give it reviews from people is because typically what people do in reviews, and you're about to see a few examples of that right now, is they'll explain like what they were thinking before they made the purchase or how they feel after making the purchase. And they kind of reveal like what their thoughts were, what they were looking for, what was holding them back, what got them over the line and made them actually purchase. Let's analyze a few of these so that I can show you what some good examples are of where we pull good information from. So this guy said, I like that it's easy, clean, nutritious. Right there. Great for our copy. We want to reference these three words right here, a few buzzwords. He was looking for, this is Monica, this is a girl, I believe. Monica was looking for a protein intake, Also a good thing to know, people are looking for protein intake, all right? So then it's a good source. Don't drink it every day, have it during those busy days. So it's a way for her to get past busy days, another good thing to know. So like all these little hints that people drop in these reviews are literally gold for your copywriting. They should all be used. And then, that's just one person. Essentially what you want to do here is find the mass desire and like what most of the market is feeling and experiencing. And we want to leverage that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go through these reviews, paste them into AI. And actually before I do that, let me show you what I'm going to tell AI. So now I'm going to say, okay, below I will paste all of the reviews from our brand Soylent. Just give it that frame, very simple. Now I'm going to paste all those there and I'll come right back in a minute. All right, so what I did here is I gave Claude a bunch of the reviews from Soylent. Now I want to be clear, you can see here I didn't put that many reviews. There's probably about 20-ish maybe. Now if you were actually doing this and if this was actually us doing this for a client, we would put in much more reviews than this. We'd go across multiple products and multiple different like collections or categories on their website. And then not only that, we would also go to their competitors who sell to the exact same customer avatar, and we would use their reviews as well. And then we would also go to Amazon and find similar products or Soylent's products as well. Actually, let's do that real quick. Soylent Amazon. If we look that up, we're going to see this. And yeah, same thing. So like we go to this product right here. This looks like it is complete protein. See, a lot of times brands will have a lot of products or a lot of reviews on Amazon. So like as an example, I could pull a bunch of these as well. You also might get like a different type of consumer on Amazon simply because, like different people like to shop on Amazon versus from a D2C website. So you might get a slightly different type of consumer, which is why I like to go there. And Amazon products tend to just have a ton of reviews. So we might use a lot of those. And again, it's very helpful to leverage competitors' reviews as well. But keep in mind, that competitor has to be selling to the same type of avatar. If they sell to like, middle-aged women and your brand sells to, let's say, typically younger women or maybe even men instead, like that's a completely different avatar. We want to make sure it's the same type of audience because we're trying to study this type of audience for our brand's sake. So I'm going to submit this to AI and I'll come back after it gives us some answers. All right, so what we just did here is AI responded, so it essentially just gave me a few takeaways from the reviews. We don't actually care about that. But what I'm writing next is we want to write an abandoned cart flow to capture the people who added our items to their cart but didn't buy, and we want to turn them into buyers. I'll just add that here, and we want to turn them into buyers. To write this flow, we need to know the most common objections that people have before buying our products. Based on what you know about us and our customers, please provide the top 10 objections that people have before buying our products, and if you can reference a specific review that made each objection more clear, that would be great as well. This is a really important thing that not many people do with AI, is they ask it for outputs or answers, but they don't actually tell it to reference an input that you gave to AI. So in this case, like I mentioned before, we're not going as in depth as we typically would in terms of all the amounts of reviews and where they're all coming from. But typically, if you gave AI a ton of reviews across multiple products, collections, and even your competitors' reviews in the same target market, you'd have much better inputs, and it would have a lot more to pull from in terms of finding what objections are most common. And when you ask it to reference specific reviews or specific things that people said, it forces the AI to only take objections that are actually real. So AI is not going to go and make stuff up because it literally has to reference a specific review that you gave to it. So let's submit this right here and let's see what we get. All right, so now we have the top 10 purchase objections. Let's walk through a few of these together before we move forward on to what was our step. So we found the objections. We did step 2. Step 3, we'll actually strategize the flow next, but first let's walk through a few of these. So first is price concern. As I mentioned earlier, price concern is obviously going to be the top objection because that's literally what people are trading in exchange for your product. But in this case, the price concern may be a little bit more important because they're worried about how expensive these drinks or meal replacements are or protein are. And so because of that, this is a good example that it gave here. This must have been from one of the reviews. People are saying like it might cost about $15 a day to get all of your calories from Soylent, which is, in my opinion, it's a pretty fair price. And I think most people would agree with that, to get your entire full daily caloric intake from it. So that's one way we could address that objection. Next one, we've got texture issues. So this person reported feeling a little bit of a chalky feel in their mouth. So what we'd probably want to find is reviews that actually prove that wrong. Because obviously, if your product genuinely does leave a chalky feel in someone's mouth, we're not going to sit here and lie. Like, the product in that case simply has a flaw. Now, what I would do in this case is I'd want to go find reviews that say, like, I love the texture, you know, I love the way this Soylent drinks tastes, and we'd want to outweigh that with those reviews and make that clear and handle that objection in that way. Next, we've got container design problems. So someone said it was too wide to get their fingers across the lid to open it. In my opinion, like if I'm sitting here doing this for a client, that's kind of a small thing that I don't think people would really care about. It's not really something that would stop people from buying. So I wouldn't really take that one too seriously. Caloric content questions, I kind of wish it was more for a substantial meal replacement. So that's an objection that people might have, or like a question that people might need to be educated on, is like, how much do they actually need to drink in order to get this many calories? And, you know, even though you might think that answer might be obvious by just looking at some of the product pages, someone that's just like eyeing up your brand and doesn't really care that much about it, they might need like an email that specifically addresses that. So that's another good example. Now, I don't want to spend too much time going through each of these, but what we will do is copy all of them and put them into our document here. So here we've got objections. Okay, now we're going to move into strategizing the flow. All right, so we're going to build this out right now with 5 emails. Now, first we want to consider the offers. All right, so one thing that we've done in the past is giving away now one thing to keep in mind is that whatever your welcome intro offer is, so like the opt-in form on the website, if you're doing a discount there, this needs to beat that, because otherwise people are gonna, like, let's say you give away 10% as an opt-in offer and then you give away, you know, another 10% here. Like, it doesn't actually really matter because they already got that 10% offer in the welcome series. So we want this to be better. So like in that case, you might bump this up to 15% off or maybe even 20% off. That's one example. Another thing you can do is start the flow without giving the offer, and then later on you give the offer. So like in this case, let's say save 20% off for emails 3 through 5. All right. So we'll assume that's what we're going with here. So now we'll map these out. Email 1. Email 2. Let me put a pause on this. All right, so I actually made a quick tweak here. So let's say right here for the offers, we're actually also adding in free shipping at email 5, meaning it's 20% off from email 3, 4, and 5, but email 5 is 20% off plus free shipping to get them over that final hump to make that purchase. And then emails 1 and 2 are no offer. We're strictly handling objections here. So we're going to want to refer back right here to our most common objections. And so obviously this is going to be a lot different based on your brand, but for this one, let's address the price concern right off the bat, because as we mentioned, that's going to be really important in terms of getting people over that hump to make that purchase. So email 1, we're going to focus on the price concern, and that's going to be the whole email. And then on top of that, I'm going to want to add in some social proof, so reviews that address it being worth the price. That's really important, because you as a company can sit here and say all you want, but when you have reviews of people, even better if they have photos or videos on those reviews, but reviews of people literally saying that, you know, this was really worth it. Like, I would pay way more, or, you know, I was shocked the price was this low. Stuff like that. Like, any type of language, even remotely close to that, we want to include that in this email. You could even start the email with that. Literally, the header section could begin with, you know, I couldn't believe it's not, like, I don't have to pay more for this Soylent bottle. You know what I mean? So we're going to spend that whole email focusing on that. Now, another note that I will mention is that, you're going to have the urge to condense like 3 different objections into one email. We've found typically that it's actually better to spread it out into more emails, but let like 1 objection in each one, for example. We've just seen that performs better because people don't have, people don't typically have the attention span to scroll through a full email. So if you cram multiple stuff into it, it's just unlikely that they're going to convert. Whereas if you span it out and you make this flow, 7, 8 emails long, you can address 8 different objections in that span. All right, so email 2, another one where we're going to be specifically handling objections. So texture issues is a nice one to focus on here. I would honestly span that out a little bit more and just specifically talk about the taste. So like taste, texture, flavors, flavor options. That's one that I would probably go with, especially because these are typically going to be drinks. So we're just going to go with that. Yeah, so AI also noted here that was particularly noted in the banana flavor. So maybe it found multiple variants of people saying that. So we're going to talk about taste here in email 2. And that's going to be about texture. That's going to be about flavor options. Like we have pretty much any flavor you would actually want to get. That can be about, that's about it really. Texture and flavor options. And then for the social proof here, keep in mind, like, it's not like we're going to pick and choose where we can put social proof. If you have social proof, like, always use it. It's always better to have it. So social proof of people saying great things about the taste. It's really as simple as that. All right, so we're going to focus on that in email 2. Now, email 3 is where we're going to give 20% off. Now, because this is the first email where they're getting the 20% off in this flow, this should be the focus of the email header section. So the header section should strictly be, do you want 20% off this order? Or like, we decided to give you a price cut on this one, whatever it is, take 20% off, available for 72 hours or 48 hours, whatever it is. And if you're going to do that time, the limited time edition, which I encourage you to do, you're going to want to make sure you have last chance emails in there as well for when that code is being expired. You can set that up in Klaviyo by going to coupons on the left tab, and then you can set a coupon to expire after a certain amount of time from when they receive it, and it'll give them the unique code. All right. Now, in email 3, below that header section, I also want to handle some of these objections. So actually, one thing we might do in this one, because the main focus here was the offer for the facts, we could go and address a few different of these lower objections. So like, one was the caloric content. So let's focus on that here. Like how many of these do I need to drink to hit my desired calorie goals? That's one example. Now again, I'm not sitting here like knowing Soylent in and out. That might not be a question that people would actually ask. I'm just using that as an example. Another one here might be the fiber content. So it's like, that might just be a nutrients thing. So it's like, does Soylent provide all the nutrients that I need? That might be another thing people ask. So those are a few FAQs that people might be asking. Email 4, we're going to want to still highlight the 20% off. It should be very clear in the header section, and there should also be a banner that they're getting 20% off here. But it shouldn't be, I wouldn't necessarily make it the main focus anymore, unless it's like a last chance reminder email. So like this one is skepticism about meal replacement. That might be a really good thing that we can address here. So like this person said, I'd been aware of Soylent's products for years before trying myself. Wish I hadn't waited. So this person just took a while to make their purchase decision. We could talk about that one right here though. Skepticism over, actually using a drink as a meal replacement. That might be a really common thing that pops up. Then we might address that in email 4. All right, and then email 5, because we're adding in free shipping here, I would make this the main focus of the email. And then honestly, like, because that's such a good offer, I would just really highlight that offer in this email and then sprinkle in social proof. That's how I'd do that one. And then this one again, social proof. I would literally use this one. Where was it? I would literally use that exact review. And then of course you'd want to provide the name of the person and stuff like that. But that's great because I don't like if I'm reading this and I haven't bought yet, I don't want to end up like this guy and regret waiting to try Soylent. So right there we just mapped out exactly the flow of that abandoned cart email. This video is about 20 minutes long. Probably spent about 30 minutes recording this overall. And I just mapped out an entire abandoned cart flow for this brand that could literally crush it and make them hundreds of thousands of dollars in the coming months. All right, so I hope you found this valuable. If you did, in the link in the description, you can join my newsletter. I send emails about 3 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week, with a lot of content like this, just about e-commerce, advertising, email marketing, stuff like that, landing pages, just like marketing principles, direct response principles in general. Jump on that. It's a free newsletter. Send that all the time. Love to have you on there. And if you're an e-commerce brand, you want help from a team like us, a dedicated team to run your email and SMS marketing, I'd be happy to have a conversation about how we can do that for you. And we always start with a free audit. So I'll jump in your account personally. I'll jump in your account, do a free audit of what you guys are running, and just see what the potential is and how we can help you guys out. And hopefully there's some opportunity there. So any questions, let me know. If so, drop them in the comments, and I will talk to you soon.